The radio turned on at 3:17 a.m. No timer, no alarm, just a quiet click and the sudden whisper of static filling the room. Evan opened his eyes. For a moment he lay still, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound. The static crackled softly, like distant rain falling on metal. The clock beside his bed glowed faint red. 3:17. He reached toward the nightstand and turned the radio off. Silence returned instantly. The kind of silence that makes you notice your own breathing. Evan rolled over and closed his eyes again. But sleep didn't come back, because something felt wrong. The radio hadn't worked in years. The next night, it happened again. 3:17 a.m. Click. Static. This time Evan sat up immediately. The small black radio on the shelf glowed faintly, as if it had just woken up after a long sleep. He stared at it, waiting. At first, there was only static. Then something shifted, a faint sound buried beneath the noise. A voice, very quiet, almost impossible to hear. Evan leaned closer. The voice crackled through the speaker like it was traveling from very far away. Hello? Evan froze. The voice sounded human, not a broadcast, not music, just someone speaking into emptiness. Can anyone hear me? The words repeated once, then the static swallowed them again. Evan stared at the radio. A strange uneasiness crept through his chest, because the voice sounded familiar. The next night he stayed awake. 3:10, 3:12, 3:15. He sat in the dark apartment, watching the silent radio like it was a sleeping animal. 3:17. Click. Static filled the room again, and the voice returned. Hello? Evan swallowed. Slowly, he reached toward the radio. Can anyone hear me? His fingers trembled slightly. The voice was clearer tonight, still distant, still fragile, but unmistakably real. Then something strange happened. The voice said his name. Evan? He pulled his hand away from the radio like it had burned him. His heart began to race. Evan, if you can hear this, the static surged. Please answer. Evan's mind raced. There was no microphone, no transmitter, just an old, broken radio. Yet the voice sounded like it was waiting for him. The following night, he brought a recorder. If the voice came again, he wanted proof. Something to convince himself he wasn't imagining things. 3:17. Click. Static. The voice returned immediately. Evan? He leaned closer to the speaker. His chest felt tight. I know you're there. Evan whispered without thinking. Who are you? The voice stopped. The static grew louder. Then slowly, the voice spoke again, but this time it sounded different. Not surprised, not confused, relieved. Finally. Evan's blood ran cold, because the voice was his own. The realization settled slowly, painfully, like a memory trying to surface. The voice continued, You didn't answer before. Static crackled around every word. I've been trying every night. Evan felt the room tilt slightly. This isn't possible, he whispered. But the voice on the radio kept speaking. Listen carefully. You need to leave the apartment. Evan frowned. Why? Static roared again, almost drowning the voice. Because tomorrow, the signal weakened. The fire. The word barely made it through the noise. Starts in the kitchen. Evan's stomach dropped. And you never wake up. The radio hissed violently. The voice faded in and out like a dying signal. I've been trying to reach you for years. Evan's breathing grew shallow. You're saying, you're me? Static answered first. Then the voice returned one final time, soft, exhausted. I was you. Until the night you didn't wake up. The radio clicked. Silence filled the room. Evan sat frozen in the dark, listening to nothing. Then slowly, he stood up and walked into the kitchen. The stove light was still on. A pan sat quietly on the burner, gas leaking silently into the room. Evan reached forward, turned the knob. The leak stopped. The apartment remained silent, safe. Behind him, the radio never turned on again. But sometimes, very late at night, Evan still wondered something. If the fire never happened, then somewhere, in some other moment, who was still trying to send the signal? And who was listening?